Who is a celebrity you lost all respect for? UK, London, here. Used to work in a high-end cocktail bar/cinema in a posh area of London. We had a share of celebrities. The worst, Kendall Jenner, did not know the word thank you or please and verbally abused one of the staff members, saying things like "this is why you earn $2 an hour." Peter Jackson refused to move for a staff member carrying a drink at seat service in the cinema screen, and when the poor 18-year-old tripped and spilled the slightest drop, complained to the manager, me, and wanted the kid fired. Vanessa Feltz, probably only known in the UK, kicked off because the staff member didn't know who she was and said as she reviewed films for The Sun, British tabloid, that it would be beneficial for us to give her free ice cream. When we pointed out that it made no difference to us if she liked Star Wars or not, she threw a temper tantrum. However, they aren't all bad. Nicholas Hoult, super down to earth and low-key, tipped the bartender £20. Emma Watson, much the same as above, never made a fuss, also would happily chat with the staff about anything and everything. Jude Law, ordered at the bar like everyone else but was getting hassled by some fans, so when I told him to go take a seat and I'd bring his drinks over, he was so thankful and apologetic. He tipped well and chatted for a bit about how the service industry can be so tough. Clive Owen, one of the most polite people I've ever served. So thankful to hear good things about Jude Law. I've adored that man since I first saw him in The Holiday and have been a big fan ever since. Emma Watson does seem like a genuinely nice person, so that's nice to hear. Meg Ryan, also on the set of In the Cut. I worked on it for 2 weeks and we were all told not to make eye contact with her. About a week in, a woman was walking by and started to tell Meg how much she loved her. Meg starts snapping her fingers off toward the distance. Her assistant comes running and literally opens a huge golf umbrella in the lady's face so Meg could walk the other way. Seemed like they had practiced this move. Geez, between this and the top comment on Billy Crystal, the set of When Harry Met Sally must have been a nightmare. She did an interview with Parkinson and he has publicly said that she was the most difficult interview he's done. The same guy that prolifically interviewed Cassius Clay/Muhammad Ali. Billy Crystal. He kicked me out of my seats at a Lewis Black stand-up show, literally stood over me and was like, "These are my seats." I sort of laughed at him, had my tickets in hand, double-checked they were correct and was like, "Sorry, I'm in the correct seat." He stood there and insisted, "No, these are mine, you gotta go." Lewis had started, and I didn't want to cause a scene, so we got up and walked over to the aisle and the usher goes, "Up, he's been so difficult tonight." They gave us box seats, still good, but we had like third row seats in the center. Can't watch City Slickers or Monsters Incorporated without hating on him, lol. What a dick, I wouldn't have moved. I always thought something was off with him, especially after that one time he tried throwing an elderly woman off a train. Barbara Walters. She used to get some of the biggest interviews in the world and was well respected. Then The View happened. And then total respect was lost when she pushed back on Corey Feldman for outing how rampant sexual assault was in Hollywood. Now in hindsight we find out Barbara Walters was in Jeffrey Epstein's circle of friends and was certainly aware, if not worse. How she responded to Corey Feldman has bothered me for years. It was really awful. He came out and was brave enough to say that this abuse was going on, and she treated it so badly, basically told him to shut up because he was accusing very powerful people of bad things, and he was like, "Yes, I am, because they are doing these things," and she should have been more supportive toward him. It was awful. I lost respect for her after the interview she did with Terry Irwin after Steve Irwin's death. She was so fucking cold during the whole thing. It made me sick to watch. Wendy Williams. Made fun of victims of murder, sexual assault, encouraged a woman to trick her husband into having another child, etc. Wendy Williams is literal trash. Look, she revealed that Method Man's wife had cancer when Meth and his wife did not want the public to know at all, nor had they wanted Wendy to know. Meth was understandably pissed off. Link. Steven Seagal. I liked some of his movies when he was popular. The stories that have emerged in the past several years let us all know he's an absolute piece of crap. I've been hating Steven Seagal for 87 years. Gwen Paltrow goop is so anti-science, I just hate everything. Pepper Potts, how Gwyneth Paltrow seems to see herself goop, how Paltrow actually is. I watched a YouTube video of what she eats in a day and she said she doesn't eat octopuses because they're smart. I mean, pigs are pretty smart too, but I also don't think any normal person eats octopus on the daily either. Every time I find out they're Scientologists. Can't do it. Those people should be in prison. Elizabeth Moss, now I can't finish Handmaid's Tale. The really shitty one for me was Michael Pena. Not just a Scientologist, a Danny Masterson supporting Scientologist. Fuck Scientology, and fuck Scientologists. Elizabeth Moss made me sad. Butch Hartman. Love his work, but the guy is totally fucking nuts. His art isn't that good a lot of the time because he half-asses things. I feel bad for the people who spend over $100 to get commissions from him. For about 15 seconds I thought you meant Phil Hartman, and I was racking my brains for what the late great Phil did to be considered nuts and lose someone's respect like that. But now I remember who Butch Hartman is, and thankfully can know Phil wasn't a bad guy. Bill Cosby. Frown, he was America's dad. I looked up to him so much as a child. Listened to his stand-up albums, drew along with him in picture pages, loved The Cosby Show. He was like a second father to me, and I think helped teach me serious and lasting lessons about racial equality when I grew up surrounded by mostly other white people. What a monster he turned out to be. He went from ghost dad to gross dad. Any Scientologist. I pity some of them, but what an awful org. Fuck Danny Masterson. I was listening to Dax Shepard's podcast Armchair Expert, and he had his Parenthood castmate Erica Christian on. She was born into it and is a very vocal defender of it. She and Dax started having a discussion on how it's like any other religion because of some BS reason. No Dax, it's a fucking cult that robs people in plain sight. Thank God we don't have EP who is connected to them. R. Kelly, I loved listening to his music when I was younger, but hearing all of these stories about how he is basically a predator to underage girls is very unsettling. The fact he even married a girl who wasn't even of legal age was gross. At least he went to prison for it. Underage women girls. The phrase underage women is often used in media to distance perpetrators from the title pedophile. Whether consciously or unconsciously, regular people started to do it too. Don't help predators smooth over their crimes. As a kid I liked the Dr. Oz show, but I lost all respect after finding out he was actually just an ego-blown nuthead, who claims to be America's doctor, but he didn't even vaccinate his own kids. Snake oil salesman. My mill used to keep a journal and take notes on his shows, but Dr. Oz says, off? Dude's a complete quack. Roman Polanski won a couple Academy Awards even though he's been a fugitive in the US for over 40 years for drugging and raping a 13-year-old, and has been accused of similar predatory behavior by women he's worked with. Yeah, that's a massive reason why I don't like Meryl Streep. She was extremely hard on Spacey and Weinstein, both rightfully so, and then goes and defends Polanski and says he's done his time. What fucking time? It wasn't rape, Whoopi Goldberg. Ian Watkins, the singer of Lost Prophets. Why? He likes to diddle kids. Diddling kids is putting it very lightly. Fuck that guy. He didn't diddle a kid, he diddled an infant. The band split up 'cause of that cunt. Chris Brown after he beat up Rihanna. I could never listen to his music after that. I'm actually surprised he is still relevant and making music. Yeah, right? How in earth is he still charting? It's the same thing with R. Kelly, he's able to still sell his music to a devoted fan base that can carry him for years. The moment he stops being marketable or stops making money, he'll be dropped. One of my bands landed a gig playing with the Misfits. not the original full lineup or anything. The venue was Strip Joint in New Hampshire of all places. I've played around some semi-famous bands in our area over the years, but this was probably the most serious one. They were definitely the most unprofessional, just huge assholes to the sound guy and anyone who got anywhere near them, particularly Jerry only. My buddy used a tape recorder because he was hoping to pick up a bootleg of the show, and so he set it down on one of our amps and let it record during their soundtrack. We got a whole bunch of dickish do you know who I am type of shit as Jerry gave the fucking sound guy hell for an hour and a half while the rest of us had to wait outside in the cold. There were literally 20 bands or something like that, and they made us all wait outside during their sound check, all the while berating the sound guy and blaming him for them sounding like shit. They refused to cooperate with him at all. I remember on the tape being amazed when they refused to even adjust their volume. They told the poor guy that he could deal with it in post. At a live show Lamau, we actually got in and went to put our stuff on stage. We were the opening band if I remember right, and they told us that we couldn't touch or move any of the equipment or stuff on stage because it was just how they liked it. So we ended up putting half our stuff off the front of the stage because their amps took up half the standing space anyway. We could barely fucking move up there because we weren't allowed to move even the mic stand. It wasn't a huge stage in the first place, but it was about 70% taken up by their stuff. I remember we had the fucking mic stand fully extended from the ground up to the stage on the boom stand because of this. I played in the 15 bands over the course of 20 years or so. Never once did anybody ever do this to us ever before or since. We had originally decided not to do our covers of their songs, in part because it would be kind of weird to do that on a show with 20 some odd bands, all of whom were there supporting the Misfits and probably might do the same songs. But after seeing what a squad of arrogant assholes they were, we decided to do it anyway while on stage. They counted the songs, so we had to swap it out with another. So the opening band played Dig Up Her Bones before they got a chance to, and since they shit on the sound guy while we slipped him $20, it sounded way better. Jerry only is a fucking dickhead who thinks he's some kind of legendary musician. I bet most of the people reading this don't have any idea who I'm talking about, just to drive home the point of how wrong he is. Subscribe for more hot Reddit takes in your inbox, guaranteed.